With what came out in court today, and it's just hard to listen to no matter what, Tanisha.
Absolutely. You know, a key witness so far in this testimony in a preliminary hearing just got started this morning. Tiffany Hosey, she's a former Oxford Center employee. She worked as a hyperbaric technician for the facility, even juggling some other jobs within Oxford Center. But she was their prime witness today on the stand for more than 4.5 hours. The first and only witness so far in this preliminary hearing. It just went into recess less than an hour ago. They'll resume tomorrow. But Hosey on stand today really telling the court she repeatedly warned owner Tamala Peterson and safety director Jeffrey Mosteller that patients weren't being strapped with grounding bracelets or straps. It's a key safety measure, she says, is meant to prevent static sparks inside those hyperbaric chambers. But here's the thing, Hosey also confirming and mentioning even Peterson, the owner there, her daughter and her parents used the chambers without those grounding straps. And despite all those raising concerns and safety measures, she says, that were ignored, Hosey says nothing was changed. The owner staff did nothing about it. She told the court she no longer even felt safe working in the chambers and was eventually let go. But the defense really kind of poking holes, pushing back, pointing out that Hosey continued working at the center despite those concerns. Here is that cross-examination. Take a listen.
And it's fair to say that you had quite a bit of knowledge regarding hyperbaric chambers outside of your specific work for Oxford, correct?
Correct.
And despite everything else you learned, you still went along with the management policy of no patient grounding strap, correct?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, and it continues, defense attorneys really still pushing back, trying to, kind of discredit Hosey there, noting that she never actually worked at the Troy location where that January explosion happened. Hosey really doing research for the center overall, but she, responded saying, hey, I did research for the entire facility, this entire operation, assuming that the safety guidelines would kind of cross-reference and be apparent in effect for both locations. She also admitted she never reported her safety concerns to any outside agencies. Guys, this one really just really continuing to just be up in the air. A lot of questions yet to be answered in this. A packed courtroom for sure for hours long. As I mentioned, more than 4.5 hours. Hosey stood on stand, really hearing that there's going to be at least 2 other experts in this case hitting the stand at least as early as tomorrow when they resume at 9 a.m. Maybe even one other civilian testimony. So a lot to be said, a lot kind of going on, but a lot of objections swinging around in that courtroom today too. Back to you guys.
Oh, Tanisha, you said that she never reported it to an outside agency, but what we heard about initially after this tragic situation, that there is no state oversight when it comes to these hyperbaric chambers. There was a big push for lawmakers to go after this, and we really haven't heard anything since. So hopefully, with more of this coming back out there into the, into the media, into the headlines, that maybe something will be done where people are paying attention again.
I agree. And, that was something that was kind of, circled around and skated around in the court today. There was a lot of talk about training guidelines, who's responsible for training, and a lot of those fingers being pointed back at Oxford Center. There's been talk about the FDA being involved as well in terms of what they consider safe and appropriate for, therapy and measures and medical treatments such as these. So a lot circulating. I'd be really surprised too, Tara, to see what comes of that and what's really, do's and don'ts surrounding treatments like this and families, so impacted like this one, as we saw.
And what you said, how much was really ignored that led to the death of this little boy. So we'll see what comes out. Thanks so much, Tanisha, for that update.